Welcome, everybody, to the PhDJ podcast. My name is Mike.
And this is Joe Bunn.
What is going on, Joe? How are you?
Happy Halloween.
You know, this is one of those weird weeks, right? It's Halloween when we're recording this. It's going to drop on November 1st. So, yes, let me say happy Halloween to you and happy, I guess, belated Halloween to all of our listeners. What are your plans today, Joe? Anything fun?
Just
bringing the boys out.
Yeah, we'll take the kids out. I think that the 13-year-old will rapidly separate from his parents, and then somebody
he's at that age, huh?
Yeah. And then the 10-year-old will probably hang with us, but pick up more of his posse along the way. And then,
so are you dressed? I saw you dress. I saw your Kanye West video inspired costume, and that was with
that's
your
Colin.
older.
Yeah, that's
Colin. Yeah.
Did
you guys go to a function or something, or did you just put those on?
No, we were going to down the street. But then he kind of bailed. It was a bunch of Davis's friends, the younger, so he just kind of. Yeah, we just did it for the gram.
All right. So is that what he's wearing today?
Yeah. I think I didn't get up. He leaves at like 6.
The problem with that costume is he can't move his arms, right? How's he going to trick or treat?
No, well, if you look at it, there's little slits in the front. You can poke your hands out and receive candy and then kind of put them back in.
and you're younger? What is he wearing?
He's Christian McCaffrey, number 22 for the Panthers.
Oh, okay, got it. That's right. You said that last.
Yeah.
Right.
He was going to be a Tar Heels player, but they're so bad at football this year that he made a last minute flex and changed.
Got it. Very well. That's a good job putting in a little football terminology there. Last minute flex. I'm not a parent, so I'm trying not to be ever critical or offer too many suggestions. But I've said this for years. Wouldn't it be great if parents took their kids for walks like this every day?
100%.
Without
the candy, minus the candy.
Without all the calories at the end. It's a wonderful day, and I love driving around on a day like today and seeing all the parents out with their kids, and the costumes are creative. But tomorrow you'll go back to not seeing that at all. And so many parents nowadays wear their Fitbits while they walk. So whatever you calculate today, if you walk with your child for 1.5 miles or 2 miles or whatever, maybe November 1st without the candy and costumes, try the same distance.
I mean, even if you did it like 3 or 4 days a week, that's 8 or 10 miles.
Player is gone already. If you're watching this on video, just as we went live, the sun must have been hitting my basement window, and I kind of looked angelic there, didn't I? I was kind of lit up,
a little baby cherub.
Yeah, and now it's shifted. So
and you're the devil again.
Yeah, exactly. Right back to it. So anyway, happy Halloween. Hope you enjoy your holiday. Have a great time.
I hope you get some trick-or-treaters.
Good candy. We have a main topic today, which we're going to basically review everything about our workshop, and because we're asked that all the time. People say, what exactly are the things that you cover and all that. So we're going to get to that. But first, I wanted to ask you, Joe, and ask the listeners. You are a Wedding Wire advertiser, correct?
Oh boy, I am. Yes.
Okay. Did you see the Laura Cannon video?
I'm going to be honest. I have a very short patience level, so I saw about 1/3 of it, and then I just looked at our private Facebook group, plug, and read some of the comments there. Would you like to summarize for me or help me out? I will summarize. And Laura's not exactly the most dynamic, outgoing speaker, so her 22-minute video seemed to drone on a little bit. Right.
I am cognizant of the fact that you and I put up a podcast around the same length every week, so I'm trying to draw the line between what's a boring 22 minutes and what's a not boring 22 minutes. Our listeners can let us know. But yeah, she had some good content in there. And basically what she has discovered, she is an officiant who advertises in the Maryland area.
Okay.
And previously to a change that Wedding Wire just made, she used to appear in, I think, Baltimore, and there was one, Annapolis, I think it was, one other city, because those cities fell within the regions that she was advertising. Now, according to her and her circumstances, and I want to emphasize that, she is no longer appearing. She has to pay extra. In other words, Baltimore and Annapolis City have now been removed from those regions, and they're being treated as separate entities that she has to advertise in. So if she wants all the surrounding areas of Baltimore, that's one section that she has to pay to, and Baltimore itself is another section. I have reached out to my representative. As soon as I watched that video, I sent him an email. In all fairness, I sent it after business hours yesterday, and it is now before business hours today. So I haven't heard back, but that's not a knock on him. But I basically wrote, I watched Laura Cannon's video today because I want, if he hasn't seen it, he should, on Facebook. And I'm wondering if there are any cities or areas within the 2 regions we currently advertise in that we don't appear in. Please let me know if there are, and if so, how much will it cost to appear in those? So I think any of our listeners who are Wedding Wire advertisers should get a cup of coffee and watch Laura's video, and maybe break it up, maybe watch the first 10 minutes and then, go for that walk I suggested and then come back and but I think you should become educated about it. But I also don't jump to any conclusions. Like, Joe, you should look into the fact, are you still appearing in Raleigh? Right. Or are you only now getting the burbs and not the city itself, which if that's the case, I think you should be rightfully incensed about that and make a stink and everything else. And I think if enough advertisers do that, they might see the error in their ways and they might change things back to the old way. Or maybe they're such a big corporation now that they don't give a crap. And if that's the case, then we all have to make our own decisions. I mean, you and I have talked about Wedding Wire before on here. We get a lot of work through it. So even though they bump up their prices every year, I look at the ROI and it means less profit for me, but it would be silly for me to be spiteful and stop advertising on there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for us, Mike, I think it's probably a lot less work than you guys get from it. But even if I go through, like if I had Randy go through the last, let's say 50 leads that came through there and put them on a spreadsheet and then go into DJ Event Planner, look those names up and see which of those people actually booked, the money that we pay per month still is less than we made, from those shows. Even though it's a small handful of shows,
the money that you made is less.
The money we made is more than I paid for the advertising.
More, okay, okay. Because if that was the case, I'd wonder why you're still advertising.
Now, I think that people in marketing usually say, like if I spent, I'm just making up numbers, $5,000 a year with Wedding Wire, don't people say you should be making $10,000 off that?
I've never heard that. It seems very simple, but if that's the case, do we make 2 to 1 on our investment? Are we talking gross or net?
Yeah, gross. I think. Yeah, gross.
Net, yes. Yeah, I don't make net, but yeah. Anyway, I just think it's something that everybody should look into if you are a Wedding Wire advertiser and find out.
I will be sending that same email today.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I didn't have a chance to do this. When I get to the office today, I will do some investigating on my own. I'm not in an area with a lot of cities, but I don't know. I mean, are they going to consider like Edison is a larger populated area that should be that is within one of the did they now pull that out or any other area? I'm gonna try to find out.
Right.
and then I'll have to make my decisions moving forward.
Same here, man.
Right. So let's talk about our workshop. We get asked all the time, what types of things do you cover? And, we usually just send people to our website where we have an entire schedule and that's, it's good. But I mean, basically the schedule has a title of each seminar or each topic, if you will, subject and a subtitle, but we should drill down a little bit more. So we begin this year on Thursday, March 14th. In other words, the last seminar at Mobile Beat, I think usually is scheduled to end around 2:00.
Yep.
We begin a half hour after that, which is more than enough time because we're literally around the wall from the main seminar room. So it's a 5-minute walk. So the fact that we give you 30 minutes, you have plenty of time to, take care of some business, maybe make some phone calls, even go upstairs and drop off some stuff in your room and then come back down and be ready to go by 2:30. Totally. So and we get started with a welcoming where, we just we do some icebreakers and try to get to everyone to know everybody in the room. So even that first hour is a little bit loose and light and everything else before we dive into the material, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say that it's a good way to kind of detox from 3-4 days of Mobile Beat and get a quick meet and greet with the 20 or so people that are in the room, and even with us, and then start tackling it right there from day one.
Right. Oh, and by the way, when you said 20 or so people, I meant to start the conversation with this, but I forgot. We got our second and third signups,
nice.
They came in yesterday, so I figured I would tell you live on air.
That's nice.
So yeah. So we're slowly filling the room. So hopefully that 20 number will be there by March. So then the first real meat and potatoes of the workshop is myself, and I do an hour on a subject called marketing to new millennials. And in this seminar, I talk about reaching this generation, which I think is extremely important for all of us, because most of the attendees are not millennials.
Right.
And those few that are millennials probably aren't your cliche, stereotypical millennials, because we're business owners and we're hustlers and we're out there really plugging away. And that sort of breaks some of the norms that we all assume about millennials. So I think that's an important topic to get the ball rolling in two fronts. First of all, we're going to spend a lot of time in the workshop on marketing. So that's important. But then also, what are the differences from the millennial generation to ourselves? And I don't know whether you're Gen X. Gen X, closer to baby boomers, depending on what chart you look at.
Right.
But so we're typical business owners in our in our industry, and we need to think when we throw our marketing out there, not the way we did 15, 20 years ago, but the way we do today. And I also spend a fair amount of time in this opening seminar talking about it's so important to be able to reach this generation for two reasons. This generation is obviously our client base, but they're also more than likely our future employees. So being able to find this generation and reach them in a way that they want to be talked to is extremely important for both of those. If you want to keep bringing, I just noticed yesterday you threw out a very cool recruitment kind of, I don't know what you call it, a meme or a poster or whatever. Graphic, but I saw it on Facebook and I saw it on Instagram. So you're doing something similar. You're trying to reach that new generation. You're looking for talent. So I talk about both of those things: marketing to this millennial generation for finding future employees, and then obviously for clients. So that's that opening hour right there.
So you kind of added that other part, Mike, about finding people, right? I mean, have you always talked about it?
I've always talked about
Maybe I always go to the bathroom during that point.
Probably, yeah.
The next hour would be mine, and this Mike and I've talked about this. A lot of we always there has never been. We've done, Mike. Will this be our 6th or 5th edition? Do you?
I think it's our 6th. We've done 4 in Raleigh. We've done 3 in Raleigh and 3. This will be our 3rd in Vegas. I'm pretty sure I have that correct.
I think you're right, man.
Because we did 4 in Raleigh, but one of them was PhDJ too.
That's correct. Okay, so 6 versions of this, and without a doubt, Mike and I still, every single time we do this, have to spend hours and hours changing
especially
slides.
These topics. I mean, when you talk about any kind of social media, man, that changes in a heartbeat.
And that's what this next hour is about, and it's about social media. And I'll be honest with you guys, I will be changing those slides even the week of. I guarantee it, that I'll hear something, either somebody at Mobile Beat says, or I'm going to an internet summit here in Raleigh in a couple of weeks. I'm actually thinking about going to one in San Diego to start next year out. So this social media thing will be the best version of what I know about it in real time. So don't think I'm going to rehash the slides from last March 15th and throw them out there. I'm going to be giving you, what I know to be current that day. Then it looks like we take a little 15-minute break, and then
hang on before we go further. Let's. I jumped on our Facebook. Sure. So I threw the question out the other day to our graduates. I told them that Joe and I were going to be recording this, and I said, hey, just if you would offer us a testimonial. I mean, we have that video that's up on our workshop page. So if you want to watch people talk about it, but here are just a few things that our past graduates. I'll read this first one. Rob Aitken, who who I think attended. Did he attend Vegas last year or the year before? I'm pretty sure he did.
It was definitely Vegas. I just can't remember which year.
Love the workshop. Even for someone who has been around for a few years, it was full of information and inspiration. Enjoyed the counterpoint of how Mike and Joe approached their businesses. And that is a pretty common.
I was about to say, that's a resounding point that people make.
If we read all of these, you'll hear that a number of times. And I do think that's, and beginning on Friday morning, that becomes even more prominent. Joe and I both run successful businesses, but if you put the commonalities and the differences together, there are many, many differences, and I think that's great for the attendees to get a view of both of them.
Yeah,
you want to. You have that open?
Yeah, this one, Craig Nace, it says, I especially enjoyed that Mike and Joe do things differently and acknowledge that there's no one way to do everything. In fact, Joe and Mike offer both complementary and contrary views based on their real experience for any scenario presented. Pretty much. I mean, a very, Mitch Taylor, game changer, still working on implementing some things I've learned from last year. Josh Staley, exceptionally well thought out course and completely worth the investment and then some. So, I mean, and some of these guys, honestly, that commented on here, Mike, are still active on this board from, what was the first year? Again, I'm sorry, 5 years ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was going to say 13 or 14. Yeah. Yeah. I
mean, 4 or 5 years ago, these people are still commenting that came to the very first one we ever did in Raleigh. They had nothing to go on. There were no testimonials. There was, hey, we're doing this thing. Everybody probably knows who Mike is. Very few people know who I am. And we want you, you to come to Raleigh, North Carolina. And we made them come here even. We don't even have any Vegas showgirls or anything here. So anyway,
well, there are beautiful women in Raleigh.
That's a valid point.
So let's get back to the schedule. So we open up with some marketing stuff, and now we shift. If you look at the topics, we shift to sales, which I think is extremely important. Obviously marketing is lining up the clients, and then sales is closing the clients. And basically our next 3 hours, the last hour on Thursday, and then the first 2 hours on Friday, are sales focused. So, and that is a purposeful scheduling on our part that we wanted to let's start with the marketing and let's move to sales. So Joe and I are both piggybacking on Thursday. We're both going to handle this last one. We've called it sales analysis. This is something we've kind of touched on in previous, but we're really going to drill down, and we'd like to look at each individual attendee's sales approach, and really marketing too, because we're going to look at their websites, we're going to look at their social media platforms, and we're going to ask for some of their responses to typical inquiries and things like that. So I think that last hour on Thursday will be very insightful, and it will give everybody there an opportunity to look at their own sales approach, their own personal sales approach, and see how they're doing with it.
Yeah, we don't, and guys, we don't. The first day we don't expect people to be. We don't stay there all day. It looks like we end around 6:30, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. We went to the restaurant's really good there now. I forget the guy's name. He's on Food Network, but
we and just like we always have done, we don't have set plans. You don't have to eat with us if you have plans Thursday night with friends or want to go out to a show. But we threw it out there in the beginning of the day, and I think all but maybe one person said, let's. So I remember you make a reservation for like 25 people last year, and it was a great dinner. We had a wonderful time, and similar to when we did the 2 full days down in Raleigh, the conversation just continues naturally. Whatever ball we got going on Thursday, we're still kind of talking about different topics. So even though dinner on Thursday night is not a set part of the curriculum, it's more than likely we'll eat together and we'll continue it.
Yeah. And Mike and I were moving around the table and talking to different people, and everybody was talking to each other. That was a good night.
It was good. Yeah. So then that brings us to Friday morning, and I open up Friday morning, and these first 2 hours on Friday is probably the most obvious counterpoint, which some of the attendees have talked about. I spend the first hour talking about the concept that I've always called selling down, which is, between myself and Chris and Dominic in the office, we handle all the sales. But often we're selling somebody other than us, meaning somebody down the booking order. and what tools can you put in place as a business owner to help you close those sales? What videos, what photos, what bios, what different things. And I show you specific examples of these. And again, just like Joe talked about, this is going to be updated because we've got some new concepts that we've been using. And so this will be updated to the most up-to-date information and strategies that we use for what we call selling down.
Yep. And then I'll go into my sales process, just called selling the music. And some of you guys probably, hopefully, bought the video of the same name. But even since the videos come out, we've changed some things, streamlined some things, probably changed the way we respond to the original inquiry. So again, tweaking slides, giving you guys really a snapshot into how we sell, which is the DJ. Each individual DJ sells his services for the company.
Yeah. So we've covered marketing, we've covered sales, and now we kind of move on to the back end, the back of the house type of stuff, where I'm spending the next 2 hours from 11 a.m. to 1 till we break for lunch, basically giving you everything I possibly can about the topic is called building a multi-op for keeps, everything you could want to know about growing your business, everything from how to attract talent, what to look for when you're interviewing techniques, to treating talent and handling, these are unique people, DJs, and I'm very well aware of that talent that behaves differently than other type of employees. And if you have a lighting tech, you probably don't get the quirkiness that you get from your your headlining DJs, and I'm aware of that, and I've dealt with these issues for decades, and so I offer a lot of my experience and a lot of the strategies that have helped me out. A lot of things that I will only talk about in this workshop because I believe that they are so sensitive that I don't really want, I haven't written about these in my book and I haven't spoken about these on a big stage because they're things that I'd rather not have my own staff be aware of. You know what I mean? So that's how really intimate and in-depth I get in those 2 hours. Matter of fact, there's a couple times where I have literally asked, hey, can everybody shut your recorders off? Because, a few people record and I'm just like, hey, can everybody just shut your recorders off for the next 5 minutes? I want to talk about a topic and I'd rather not have my voice recorded somewhere just in case it's ever leaks out.
All over the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And I only mention that because if you've read my book and if you've seen me speak, I don't want you to think, oh, I've heard Mike talk about everything he's going to talk about on this topic. I drill deep in these 2 hours, really deep.
And then we take lunch. And last year I did some Yelping and Googling and found a really good pizza spot that brought in good. That
was good. The salads and the pizza. Yeah, we didn't even have to leave the room. I thought it was great.
The problem we've had in the past, guys, is that the Vegas hotels are so big. By the time we walked all the way to lunch, by the time they prepared 20 meals and brought it out, we had burned too much time. So
about an hour for it, and yeah, I mean, if it takes you a half hour just to get seated and put your order in, it's going to blow up the schedule. And we're very cognizant of that schedule because we know a lot of people took our advice and are flying out Friday evening,
including Mike and I, probably.
Yeah. So we will more than likely have lunch in the room again. Since I'm talking for 2 hours, Joe takes care of the lunch. Didn't you? I thought you used Uber Eats last year. That didn't work.
No, I think I just actually called the pizza place and their delivery guy brought it in.
It was perfect, really. It was perfect. By the way, let's get back to a couple more testimonials. My good friend Wyatt Hill, he uses the same term that Mitch used, complete game changer by attending the class. All the secrets you wish you knew when you started, plus opportunities to hear from other companies and share ideas. Don't forget about that. You're not only hearing from Joe and I, but you will have plenty of chances to network with other people in the class. And then after that, you'll be invited into this PhDJ Workshop graduates closed Facebook group where you can continue kind of networking and sharing with the people that are in this group. So those that is another opportunity. Wyatt finishes by saying money well spent and more. Thank you, Wyatt.
Wow.
And Walsh, Atlanta, right? Mike is?
Yeah.
Fellow
ATL.
MW. Yeah. This workshop made a huge impact on the culture and growth of my business. I love that.
Yeah.
Practices like regular training, showcases, and sales strategy were all successfully implemented from attending the PhDJ workshop in 2015. So there's a guy that 3 years later, and he's still talking about how valuable this was. And he's right. He implemented a lot of these things. As a matter of fact, Mike and I, after the workshop, I remember talking to him about I think he was just breaking into doing his own showcases, and he's taken them in a very unique direction as showcases, but he's been very successful with them.
Yeah, he's a great DJ, and I think even after the workshop, I ended up booking a show down there and getting gear from Mike. So
good.
It's just relationships.
Reed cruises. I love cruise.
Oh, cruise, yeah.
You said about Mike Cruz is Cuban, and he came to one of the ones in Raleigh, and Mike's a really sharp dresser.
Oh, he's impeccable.
You remember what you said, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. I go, hey man, it sounds terrible now, but I go, aren't you Cuban? And he's like, yeah, and I go, and Pitbull's Cuban? He's like, yeah. And I was like, do all Cubans dress well?
That's one of those positive racist things.
That's right. Positive racism.
It's not racist, but it's a compliment. So
Golly, he dresses well. Anyway, he says the workshop is well-rounded, teaches about all aspects of running a DJ business. The small group setting allows the ability to network and build personal relationships with great DJs from around the country. Icing on the cake, the PhDJ graduate Facebook group, which we've talked about here. A positive community of like-minded DJs who selflessly help each other with constructive criticism and valuable feedback to keep improving in the business. Then he even adds a little comment to his own comment. I came back from the workshop feeling recharged, and I was able to implement a lot of ideas right away.
Great. And Mike is one of those guys. We've watched his company grow over the last couple of years. It's been fun to see.
For sure.
So after lunch, Joe takes over.
After lunch, all the small things. So this is a topic that I've done. I think I did a seminar either at Mobile Beat or DJ Times years ago on it. And again, probably half those slides get tossed out. I mean, these are just everything from the appearance of your gear to what you wear to how you load in. I mean, it's called all the small things because it's some of the things that you don't think of. And I list all the references. Well,
and it's also called that because you love 90s music.
I do. I listen. I love a power punk pop band like Blink-182. Well, let's be honest. But
is that 90s or New Millennial?
I think it's 90s.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that version of the band.
Call me out on that if I'm wrong. Yeah, sorry.
But it's just one of those things. And I, as I'm speaking about things, I'll say, you can get this at blah, blah, blah.com. Or, I'll even give out some people's names and email addresses. Please reach out to this person if you need them. And then it goes into generating quality referrals. Again, I think this was, one of the very first seminars I gave in Atlantic City. In fact, it may have been the first seminar ever in front of anybody. Do you remember this story, Mike? And I remember this was the topic, and I got to the end, and as usual, per Joe Bunn seminar speaking history, I came in short. And so the kiss of death, which I never do anymore, is in a room full of DJs. I asked if there were any questions. And a guy way in the back raises his hand, and I go, yeah, in the back. And he goes, you don't remember this, Mike? Are there any Jews in North Carolina? That was his question. and I think
I remember that.
I think because I had talked so much about weddings, and that's a very heavily, especially back.
Like people would go, "Hey, do you do any bar mitzvahs?"
Right? No, that's it. That was it. Yeah, and I look at Randy and I go, "Some." I just said some. And next question, like it was the craziest thing, but I'll never forget that. Anyway, again. The referral, the way we've gotten referrals has changed so much over the last even 5 years. We were, without getting into this too deep, we were so heavy into doing wedding shows, and I'm talking about 10, 12, 14 a year back then. I mean, I'm sure that's what I was speaking about. Now things are a lot different. I mean, Mike at the top of the show mentioned Wedding Wire. And then Mike, takeaways. We kind of move in towards
this is a concept that I've seen in I mean, I've seen it at Think Tank. I've seen it at a few other, especially smaller conferences. It's kind of hard to do this at like a Mobile Beat size, but we go around the room and we ask everybody to give their best takeaway or one or two takeaways. And first of all, it becomes a pride thing for Joe and I because, both of us want to get mentioned more than the other one. When people go, oh, well, I like Joe's idea, I go, oh, damn. And then they go, well, I like Mike's idea. And I go, oh, great. So just be aware that you're actually hurting or helping our pride.
Our feelings.
Do that. Don't overdo one or the other. But no, all kidding aside, I think it's a great way to kind of highlight different things that have been mentioned because we're throwing a lot out there over a day and a half. And I think a lot of times an attendee will say, hey, I love Joe's idea about this. And so another attendee will go, oh, yeah, that was a great idea. Maybe circle it in his notes or something like that. So I've always thought
they stepped out to call their wife or something and happened to miss that.
Yeah. But I've always thought the best takeaway thing at a small conference, it wouldn't be feasible for Mobile Beat to do that at the very end of their 3.5 days. But I think in a small setting, it works. And I think it's a great way to kind of wrap up the day and a half. So we do that. And then I talk about balance, and I do think that that's an extremely important topic, especially in today's day and age where literally we can work 24/7. You listen to any of these sales seminars where they talk about you got to get back to emails within the first couple of hours, and you got to be the first to respond. And so many of us, myself included, are just on all the time. And how do you, with that, find balance? And especially you as a parent and so many other people who are parents of young children, it's extremely important. I mean, children grow up pretty fast, and you can work your ass off, and the next thing you know, they're in college and out of the house, and you go, oh, I missed a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so we spend a significant amount of time, the last segment of the day, talking about that. And I give some strategies about how to make sure that you do find and have some balance in your life, because with all the business stuff that we talk about, I still think that that's a very important topic.
Oh, it's Mike. I've had this conversation with multiple people I've consulted with multiple personal friends, side conversations, about all of it, like you got to pump the brakes sometimes. You don't have to play every night. You know what I mean? You're send somebody else to do it, or take the shows that are important to you. I mean, life is short, man. It goes by so fast.
And the irony of all that is it will probably make you a better business person because showing up. I had yesterday off, and it was my first day off in about 3 weeks, and I'm not proud of that, but I was working my butt off to get this book ready. So besides everything else for the business, but I am a better person today for having just cleared my head yesterday. And, Shay and I went for a hike.
I saw that.
And I had a great day where I thought so little about Elite that it was you wouldn't even think I was a business owner yesterday, but I needed that. And today when I show up at the office, I will be a lot more refreshed and a better owner than if I had worked all day yesterday. 100%. So it helps the entire big picture. And then we actually graduate. We have a graduation ceremony. Yes. With pomp and circumstance,
yes.
and actual diplomas. And I guess we should give the caveat that you are not earning a PhD in this. It is a completely made up title that we came up with, PhDJ. So nobody, have any false pretenses that you can now have, go operate on somebody, or
you can't call yourself doctor. Well, maybe you can.
You can if you want. Dr. Drag seems to get away with it.
I was about to say, you can if you want.
So there is our workshop in a nutshell. Hopefully you are intrigued after listening to this, and hopefully you are saying, damn, I got to get to that. And the best way to do that is to attend Mobile Beat in March. Fly in on Sunday, be there Monday afternoon, where yours truly is going to be kicking off the content all week long. Great. If you look at the Mobile Beat website, I mean, it is just great content. And then Thursday afternoon, like we talked about, as soon as the seminars end, you walk down the hallway and you've got a day and a half with Joe and I, and guaranteed to leave you with your head packed with info.
I agree. PhDJWorkshop.com, guys. Go ahead and get signed up, and we hope to see you in sunny, beautiful, warm Las Vegas. Peace.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to stop.